Hi there, I'm going to show you in this tutorial how to create a spiral staircase in Revit. Now, like a lot of things in Revit, there are a number of ways of doing it, so what I'm going to show you is what I think is the simplest way, but there are different ways you can go about this. Essentially what we need to do is create the stairs first and locate that in the right position, and then we need to create an opening for the stairs, which will be created using the shaft opening command. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a reference plane in on the drawing, just as a straight line, which will help me locate the stairs. So basically the top end of that line there is going to become the center point for the stairs. Okay, so over to the Architecture tab, and we're going to go to Stair by Component. And we're going to go with the option to create a full step spiral stairs. So select that. And then what I'm going to do, well, we can look at some settings up here first. So the location line that I'm about to draw is going to be the center of it. There's going to be no offsets, and the width of the run will be 1 meter. So you can change the width of the steps there if you want. But essentially what the line I'm about to draw will represent the center line of the treads. So I'm going to click here for my center point, and as I move my mouse I can see the staircase is becoming apparent there. It's becoming drawn, and as I'm in the middle of doing this, I can use the number pad on my keyboard to control the radius of it. So you can see there at the moment it's showing up as 1600 mil. Well, if I type in 1200 and then press enter, it will draw the stairs with a 1200 mil radius. That radius is from this point here to the center of the step. Okay, so that's the stairs positioned, and I'm happy enough with that, so I'm just going to click on the Finish Edit Mode button up here, and we have our stairs placed now. So a couple of other things we need to do here really is to create a wall, a shaft opening for the stairs. And just to show you what I mean by that, if I go into my 3D views and put a camera in here, what we can see, I'm just going to expand my view out here a little bit, what we can see is the staircase as we'd expect, but where it is meeting the ceiling, it's just disappearing through the ceiling. So we need to create an opening up here for that. So to do that, I'm going to go back into my floor plan. Actually, maybe what I'll do is I'll go into my second floor plan as well, just for a second, and maybe place a camera in there as well, just so you can see what it looks like on the first floor. So on the first floor, what we've got is the stairs magically appearing through the floor slab, but again, it's not right, because nobody would be able to walk up those stairs. We need to put an opening here in the floor for it. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm just going to tap the escape key a couple of times and go back into my entry level floor plan. Now, to create an opening is very simple, but as to what shape it is, that's going to be an architectural feature that you'll have to decide for yourself. So what I'm going to show you is just a way of doing it, and there are many different variations of this. So I'm going to go back to my Architecture tab, and I'm going to come over to the shaft opening. Now essentially what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use the existing lines of the stairs to control where my opening lines will go. So it's very straightforward really. What I'm going to do is put an offset of 100 mil in there, and I'm going to use the Pick Lines option. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over the outside edge of the stairs, and you can see a little kind of a dashed line appearing just outside that line. So if I now click, I've got the shape of the opening starting to form there, 100 mil away from the edge of the stairs. I'm also going to do the same in here. I'm going to click on this edge of the stairs, and that will give me an opening in here, 100 mil away from it. Now the opening needs to have an enclosed boundary. If I try to create the opening now, it's not going to work. So I need to put a line across here and also a line across here. To do that, I'm going to use the line button, and I'm going to change my offset to 0, because I want to actually draw the line from here to here without an offset, and then draw a line from here to here without an offset. Now because that's an enclosed shape now, if I go to the Finish Edit Mode button up here, my shaft opening has appeared. Okay, so I'm just going to tap the Escape key for a second there, and I'm going to go back into my 3D views just for a second, just to show you what's going on now. So you can see the opening in the ceiling has appeared just there, and if I go to my first floor view, you can see the opening is in the floor there. The issue we've got is it's also going up onto the next floor. So what we need to do is just change the settings for that opening itself. So it's easiest to do this in the 3D view. If you hover over the edge of the shaft, you can see where I'm moving my mouse just there, and if I click that, the shaft itself is an object in Revit that can be selected. You think of an opening as being a void space, but in Revit it's an actual object that you can select. So now that that's selected, we need to look over at the properties, and base constraint is entry level 0, 1, which is the ground floor. Well, I'm going to attach it to my floor number 2, and I'm going to tell the computer to put it -500. So it's basically going to start 500 mil below floor number 2. My top constraint is also going to be floor number 2, and I'm going to put the top offset in as +500. And when I click apply, you can see what's happened now. The shaft is projecting above floor number 2 by 500, and it's also, if I go back to my ground floor 3D plan, where has that gone now? Oh, I mightn't have made that deep enough. It's not actually coming through the ceiling. So what I'm going to do is go back up here for a second. Good job, I checked. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to set the base offset to -1000, and that should bring it down below the ceiling underneath. So you can see it's kind of extended down now a bit further. If I go back in here now, it's still not there. So obviously I need to go a bit deeper with it. Not a problem. So I select the shaft, and I'll change this to -2000 and go apply, and go back to my ground floor plan, and there it is in there now. Okay, so basically I just didn't make the shaft tall enough to project above the first floor and to project down into the ceiling of the ground floor, and that's all controlled by the constraints and offsets over in the properties. So now that I've made those changes, I'm just going to tap the Escape key, so I'm no longer looking at the shaft, and that is the shaft opening for the spiral staircase. That's the ground floor plan. I can just change my settings here to make it look a little bit more realistic. So I zoom in there, and you can clearly see the opening going up. And if I go into my 3D view on the first floor and do the same thing here, you can see the opening in the slab. You can even see the ground floor ceiling just down below here. Back into my first floor plan, and you can see the edge of the opening just there. Okay, so this is a two-step process really. Firstly, you have to position the stairs where you want to put it, and secondly then you draw the shape of the opening around it, and you make sure the opening projects high enough above the floor you're interested in and low enough that it cuts through the ceiling of the floor beneath.